Hey YouTube, this is Trish Picker coming at you with another video. I'm going to show you how you can liven up one of your old t-shirts that are old and stained up. Instead of using them for wash rags for your car or for your kitchen, I'm going to give you a tip and trick, and I know they've been all over the internet and everybody's at least done them once in school. It's tie-dye. So what you do is you just take your t-shirt and you buy a package that has the colors that you would love to have in there. They come with 2 pairs of gloves in it because you're going to need 1 pair to wrap it up. And then the little guide book. I got mine at Walmart. And then a pack of rubber bands. Well, I don't use those rubber bands. I buy my own rubber bands because of the fact that I like the strength of the industrial ones, like for offices and things like that. Or legal, what they call legal rubber bands, because they're like, or newspaper rubber bands. They're really, really thick. So, I already did one, but I'm going to show you an example on this one. Because see where it's like stained right here at the top? There's a big stain on the top of it. Well, there's more stains throughout it, but what you do is you just take it somewhere in the middle and you pull it and you twist it. And then you just take one of the rubber bands, and I'll just use one of the rubber bands out of here because I'm not going to dye up this one because I only bought enough dye for this big shirt because it's rather on the larger side. But you just take the rubber band. Your first rubber band usually will determine how big or how small. Just make sure that your first rubber band is kind of tight. So, see how it's a little bit tight going through? Well, it'll tighten in that area. So you can twist this way, or you can now twist it this way and then put another rubber band and then just go the opposite ways and then roll it in like a cinnamon roll, okay? And then just put rubber bands out as you go, okay? And I'll kind of show you what I did on that one. I did that technique all over this one. I just made several different cinnamon rolls, and then I put it into a big old bowl, okay? So, but I'll show you inside the booklet, because this is the Tulip brand, and they'll give you different techniques. See? And they always give you the pattern and then how to do the pattern below it. So if you have never done one of these before, I would start with a tie-dye kit. And there's some on the back too, which typically those are harder to do. So they usually will start with the basics. But once you get the basic down, then you're good to roll with your own imagination, okay? And there is one thing differently that I do than what the kit and instructions say. I wrap mine once I get done putting the gloves and put all the dye, which I'll lower you down and I'll do all that. I wrap mine with saran wrap, and it'll tell you in the kit how long to let it sit for before washing and drying it. But don't put any fabric softener. Just wash it with regular soap on a regular setting. Don't put it on like delicate or anything like that. You really kind of need that agitation to get it out. Sometimes they have to be washed twice, depending on how much dye you put on there. Well, I'm putting all 3 bottles just on one, so I may have to wash and dry it twice. So just note that. And normally I do this outside, so I'm gonna have to use extreme caution in the house. Okay, so let me pull this a little bit closer to me, and I'll put you closer to me, and then we'll move you down so you can see what I'm doing. So because I know that everybody likes to see what's going on. Okay, because that's one thing, you know, usually people will do it from, you know, like just their voice. Well, I want you guys to see that it's me that's actually doing it. It's not someone else that's doing it, because sometimes I'm curious about that, if they have someone else doing it for them and they're just talking through it. I'm hoping that's not the case. Okay. But anyway, I went ahead and filled it, and it has a fill line on all of them. Just be cautious when you put the lids on them, because sometimes if you don't thread them correctly, they'll leak. And that's what happened to my hands. I was shaking them, didn't have the gloves on yet, and it happened. So, but I have other gloves that are for my kitchen too, so I have plenty enough gloves. See, these ones are really, really big. Okay, so let me get these rubber bands out of the way, and that other shirt, because I'm not using it at all. But I will have to put my glasses on so I can see. And what you're going to do is whatever you feel like doing with your color sequence, make sure it's a color that you like. Because I went with teal, fuchsia, and purple. Ooh, excuse me. But those 3 colors, when they mix up throughout this, will make other colors. So it's going to look more like a rainbow. So what I do is I kind of set them randomly in an order, okay? And then I just pop the top off. And I work on, but I put pretty deep down into the fabric, because I know how I've got this folded. And if I don't do it this way, it's not going to go all the way through. Okay. So I have to know, you have to know how many layers of folds and twists and turns that you've done, okay? So just kind of take your time at it. This isn't a project to rush through. It's not a race. Like, a lot of people will look at it as, oh, I got to get it done, I got to get it done, I got to get it done. Well, no. It's a craft. Crafting is supposed to be fun, not stressful. Okay? So I put some of that. And now, see, and this is the one that kind of decided to get on me. And it looks more green, like Christmas green, than I was thinking it was going to be more like, I mean, I understand teal green is green. Green is green. But I figured it would be a little bit lighter than this. But what the heyday, you know? And like I said, I make these and I give them away as gifts. So the people that I'm giving them to typically don't know that I'm even making them for that person. And see, that's what I do too. so I don't lose any of the... See how it's dripping? Just sop it up. Just sop it up. And I make little splatters here and there. Like back in the 70s and 80s, they used to have I can't remember off the top of my head. Somebody can let me know. I want to say it was like splatterware or something like that, but it was more like... It's plugged up. I don't know why it's plugged up. Oh, okay. What happened was some of the powder still hadn't dissolved in there, but it's moving and shaking now, so we're good to go now. I know that there was a lot of people in the 80s that were, and I know that a couple different brands had put out different types of clothing like this, but I can't remember off the top of my head who they were. I didn't buy a lot of name brand stuff in the 80s, so that's probably why I can't remember, because like people, when I come to school, I would look at their shirt and I wouldn't ask too many questions. I wasn't like that curious to be asking other kids, where'd you get your clothes at? You know, that's, you know, I would just tell them that's a cool shirt or whatever. I wouldn't be nosy, literally, you know, in their business like that. You know, because some people don't like to share information like that because they'll call you a copycat. And you're like, no, I just think your shirt's cool, you know. But back then, you know, you were called a copycat if you went and bought something that somebody else wore. Even though that wasn't what your intentions was, you just liked the style of it. But you were known as a copycat when you did that, so. And then my mother had me do my own tie-dye. Well, I actually learned how to do it in school, and I brought it home when I did my first one at school. And my mama asked me if I could show her, which she probably knew how to do it, but she acted like she had never made one before, ever in her whole life. So I thought it was cute that we had one of those special, you know, mother-daughter bonding moments where it was like, oh, cool, I get to show my mama how I did this, you know. And I think, you know, she was old enough that she knew. And she had done it. I mean, I was born in the 70s, so, you know. Peace and love, and you know, you look back at some of the Bob Marley stuff, you know that wasn't just went and bought in stores. Or, you know, Jimi Hendrix, you know, they weren't buying that stuff, you know, just in the stores. They were having that stuff made. You know what I mean? So I knew my mom had seen it before, but it was just a little special moment between my mother and you know, because at the time, you know, she thought she was losing her little girl because I was learning so many things in cooking and art and things like that, that she was losing that little innocent girl that she knew. And I kind of, you know, didn't understand that until I had a daughter. And, you know, I wanted to share things with my children like that before the schools could take that little special moment away, you know. I mean, not that they didn't need to learn and expand their wings at school about, you know, their own creativity. But when it came to certain things, I didn't want them learning the wrong way about creating and expressing themselves in the wrong ways, you know. You always try to see the positive in people and positive aspects of situations or whatever. But that's not always the case, and I hate to say that, but it's so true. And I know I'm probably yickety-yakking your ears off, but, you know, that's just how I see it. You know, you call it, it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it looks like a duck, it's probably a duck. You know what I mean? But, you know, so, because I remember growing up, and I saw some things I probably wish I wouldn't have never seen. You know, I mean, I did see, you know, kids at a fairly young age smoking cigarettes and doing drugs at a young age, and I was like, you know, I don't think that's for me, you know. I mean, granted, you know, what everybody does in their own personal lives and their own personal business, that's their decisions and their choices. But at the time, for me, when I was younger, because these kids were like, you know, fairly young. These kids were probably, you know, 12, 13, 14, 15 years old. It was like, you know. And yeah, I did my bad stuff too. I can't say I wasn't a bad girl, because I was pretty rebellious. You could ask any members of my family, they'll tell you in a minute, yeah. She was our walking rebel. She just didn't have no bones about giving us a fret of a time about stuff. Like, she was just always flapping her chops about something. I sassed pretty bad. Like, I was a very sassy person. I spoke my mind, and, you know, sometimes it did lead me into some trouble. And especially when it came to, you know, being raised in a home where you respected your elders and you stepped out of line with them. That was the one place where it was not a place that you could just easily do that. That was not socially acceptable to be disrespecting. And what I'll do is, once I've got this exterior completely covered, then whatever's left, because see how I'm using an excessive amount of this pink? Well, I need to catch up the other colors now, and I'll be squeezing it in the bodies of these really thick, heavy areas, so that it gets down into the nooks and the crannies, just like, you know, cookies. Because there's still going to be some white in some areas, which will come out really, really good. I'll show you guys what the end results looks like, but I have to let it do its sitting and drying and washing and all that stuff. but I will show you what the end result. And then I got some iron-ons to go on this particular one. Oh. And see, when it's drying, you can see where you kind of have missed, or it didn't really take a lot of the color. So you just go in and squeeze a little bit more. That's why you reserve some. Okay. And all I have left is this little section right here. We'll put some here, 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 here. And back to what I was saying, I can't even remember now. See, that's what happens when I get to doing crafts. I get whole sidetracked. I lose focus on what I'm doing. But sometimes that's a good thing. Some people say that they go into like this Zen, like euphoria. I don't know exactly what that means, but it takes me where life seems to go away for a little while. Like I don't even have to think about anything except for my craft that I'm working on. Okay. What do I do there? Okay, I'll put a little bit of pink to edge that a little bit. Okay. And those few spots that I see randomly, I'm going to leave those white. But I'm going to go in here and really pump up that red, little fuchsia. Don't mind the clock. And some colors, just so you're aware, some colors will take better too. But if you have like a light pink shirt and you want to do this to that shirt, go right ahead, because the light pink will take these darker colors. Like this fuchsia will go real pink on you. Okay? So don't doubt that for a minute. They'll make their way into changing colors on you. But typically what I do, like I said, is I wait 24 to 48 hours. But it's however you want to let it wait. I'll double read the package because I haven't followed one of those directional packages in a long time. But when you're first starting out, you know, and you haven't tried this before, you might want to. Okay? Which is go by the directions. But I will show you what it looks like after I've washed and dried it and got the iron-ons on it. Or I can show you what it looks like when I take all the rubbers out and bands out of it before I wash it. But most likely I'll probably won't, only because it's going to look like a big jumbled up mess. Like when you take it apart, it's kind of be a little bit crusty. So I won't do that to y'all. It gets a little bit hard. Okay, so even though I did not use all three colors like all the way normally, I do 2 shirts. But I didn't do 2 shirts this time, which you can't really save this die, so just know if you want to do more than 1 shirt, there usually is enough die. I think let me read the packet. Let me get this saran wrap on this and then we can read the packet together. Because I think this makes sorry about that, guys. I have to pay attention to what I'm doing when it comes to the saran wrap. So I have to make sure that it's nice and tight. Okay. So the saran wrap is on. So now it'll be about 24 hours, but let's get these gloves off. I'm gonna throw those away because they're not gonna be any good. Once you've already mixed them, they only stay good for so long, and I don't have another shirt to dye. So, but let's get to this directions real quick. So we can, yeah. Apply within 24 hours after mixing. Fabric drying. Apply dry on fabric. Let sit 6 to 8 hours or longer for maximum intense color. Rinse well with water until excessive dye is removed. Cut rubber bands if used. Fill washer on large low setting with cold water and small amount of laundry soap. Wash and dry separately. Wash separate for the first time of washing. Okay, so it's 6 to 8 hours, but I let it sit for 24. But I've been doing this for quite a while, so that's why because I like the way that the color comes out. So 24 hours from now, I'll wash and dry it twice. I'll put the appliques on it, and then I'll show you what it looks like, because I don't think you really want to watch a washing machine and a dryer going, you know, that's kind of crazy and lunatic to ask somebody to do that. I mean, that's like watching paint dry. You know what I mean? I don't think that anybody want to watch paint dry. So we'll be back at you once this has done its sitting and everything, and I've done the washing and drying. We'll be back. Remember, I told you I was coming back at you with the finished product from the tie-dye, and then of course I put the appliques on it, of course. So I'm going to give you an overview of the whole thing. You ready? I hope you are. 3, 2, 1. There's the bottom. And there's the top. And I'll get closer and closer to these appliques so you can see them. I got those on Etsy, and they just iron on. But I let it set for 12 hours, and I washed and dried it twice. So I hope you give this one a try. Thanks. Bye. And remember, if you have nothing nice to say about somebody or something, don't say anything at all. Ta-ta for now.